Grab your pre-workout and turn up that volume. It is time for a new episode of the Powerlifter's Den with your host, Cam Smith. What's up, Powerlifter's Den family? Want to rep the podcast and look good while doing it? Check out my official merch store at plden.company.site. We've got tees, hoodies, beanies, hats, and more, and gear that'll keep you motivated in and out of the gym. Every purchase helps support me and the podcast and keeps the den growing strong. So whether you're hitting a heavy squat session or just lounging in style, we've got you covered. Head to plden.company.site and grab your merch today. Listen, I don't have a beard. I've got this glorious mustache. But even this stash deserves elite care. That's where Wicked Wolf Beard Co. comes into play. Their oils and balms keep the face fuzz fresh, soft, and ready for action. No crusty cowboy nonsense here. It smells great, feels great, and makes me look more like I lift heavy things. Beard, mustache, or something in between, Wicked Wolf's got your mug covered. Wicked Wolf Beard Co. Respect the stash. Head on over to Wicked Wolf Beard Co. and use code PLDEN for 25% off your order. Shout out to my guy Bear over at Summit Performance Therapy, the only person I trust to scrape me, needle me, and massage me, and fix my squat at the same time. If your joints sound like microwave popcorn, or you've been limping since Tuesday's deadlifts, Bear's your guy. He knows lifters, he is a lifter, and he's got magic hands, dry needles, and a deep understanding of how to not let your body fall apart. Book a session and tell him the PL Den sent you. Summit Performance Therapy. Reach your summit. Powered by Bear. Literally. What's up, guys? Another episode of the Powerlifter's Den, coming back with Jimmy Kolb almost 2 years later. Obviously, a lot has happened between the both of us in both of our powerlifting careers and have made some big changes. So, Jimmy, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, bro. Appreciate it.
Of course. So, I think to get started, obviously, we can kind of talk about recent events. You have since upped your heaviest bench of all time. The last time we talked, it was at 1350. Since then, you've been able to go to 1400, and then have now gotten to 1452. So let's dive into that kind of that prep and maybe some of the things that have changed along the way.
I mean, lots. Oh man, 1350. I did that back in. It was a meet in West Virginia. It was Chris Jividen's first time hosting a meet. Got on my third attempt, which is super annoying, but I like to get those big lifts done on the first attempt so I can just go home and be done. But I was also dealing with my forearm pain at the time, which has since been fixed. That's also an update, but we'll get into that. But yeah, the prep being so different, mainly because we moved back to Ohio since that meet. So I've been back at home, northeastern Ohio, and doing all of my super heavy benching at 814 barbell with Rob Farrell and his crew. So I've become part of that group and part of that family, which is super cool. Prep looked fairly similar to any other big benches I've done the last few years, just handling heavy weight as often as I can, getting comfortable with it, CNS adaptation, making sure you can't really tell if your bones are adapting, but with time and persistence, making sure your bones can hold up to those kind of loads. And, mainly just got confident with these big weights, because the plan was to actually go 1450 as an opener, which is what I did, and then jump to 1500 and get 1500 pounds out of the way. But 1452 was the kilogram weight on the bar, and that's all I had energy for that day.
Yeah. So I guess kind of going into that a little bit, obviously, like, I can see why with these heavy ass weights, like you try to plan to only maybe take one or two attempts because it takes so much out of you. I mean, we've all seen videos of either you're taking a heavy set or one of your AMRAP sets and you're like falling off the bench after. So
yeah. No, ideally, going back, when it's time to go for 1500 pounds, it's going to have to be just one attempt.
Yeah.
It's so damn heavy. And I believe human beings can adapt to anything, but even being realistic, it's 3/4 of a US ton. I don't have that metric ton stance yet, because a metric ton is a little bit heavier than a US ton. But ideally, first attempt, get it done, be done with the meet, and be happy with it. So we'll see what happens in November.
Yeah, and so I guess for that meet, why didn't you just go for it off the rip? Did you just want to kind of set a new milestone first, or was there something that got in the way of you opening with it?
I told everybody who was willing to listen and who knew what I was prepping for, that if I only got 1450, I would be so damn happy with that. That's a 1452. That's 51 pounds above my current all-time record.
Yeah.
Huge PR, huge meet PR. I mean, doing a 50-pound PR in the gym is big, but
Yeah.
doing it on the platform is even bigger. So I, I had some non-ideal circumstances, and I hate making excuses, but there is a reason why I only had one lift in me. But I guess it's a pretty common thing in the Penn State area of Pennsylvania that a lot of homes, a lot of Airbnbs don't have AC. So we ended up booking, our friends showed up from Virginia as a surprise. And it was 85, 95 degrees all day, every day that week in Pennsylvania. And we're inside the Airbnb. It's like 9 o'clock at night. And we're kind of like, oof, it's getting toasty in here. And we're looking around at the dials on the wall. And we're like, cranking them all the way to, the lowest temperature, and nothing's happening. And we can't find vents anywhere. So we get a hold of the gal that owns the place, and we said, hey, how do you turn the AC on? She goes, it doesn't have AC, and also no Wi-Fi, but she didn't list that. You see, so we're like, shit. So I lay, on top of the covers all night, window open, fan blowing, trying to stay cool. I know I was sweating all night, which is super not ideal, especially at my body weight. That's not cool.
Yeah.
Because I knew I was in trouble when I was doing my warm-ups. My first set that I had my legs on the floor, so one red per side, and even with one red, my technique, I push with my legs a little bit, and my quads cramped up.
Oh boy.
I was like, that never happens. So I was like, I'm in trouble. So we had one lift, and that was it. That's all I had the energy for.
Yeah, and I mean, just to be able to do that, like, obviously at your level, even a 5-pound PR is a great accomplishment, and you're just kind of moving the totem pole forward. So to obviously move it up, and it's kind of getting to that point where it's like, I mean, it's already been at that point where it's such incomprehensible weight that they're like, oh, it's only 50 pounds more, but like, it's just so insane that, I mean, obviously the 1500 will be amazing and going to happen. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, thank you for the boost of confidence. I appreciate it. I'm very, it's going to be cool. That's a number that I have said I could retire on, although with recent training, and I've handled it a couple times in the gym, straight weight.
Uh-huh.
I definitely think with time, more is definitely a possibility.
Yeah, and honestly, I would say the same thing. Just even making that much progress still, and obviously with how the shirts are evolving now, and your involvement with F8, which we can kind of dive into now, I think it can only make your final bench even bigger than you expect.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it's gonna it's worked out well. Moving back to Ohio was not an easy decision at all. We left behind a lot of people, a lot of friends for life. My crew down in Virginia, great gym, great people. But coming up here, as hard as it was a financial reason, but it's turned out for the better, and we have a great crew of people up here as well.
Yeah, so tell us about how you kind of got. Obviously, you've been in an F8 for a long time, and you've probably been well connected with Rob and Tiff. But kind of tell us about your journey into what you do now.
So we live in northeastern Ohio, and Shippenville/Clarion, where F8 powerlifting is 2.5 hours away. So what we do is we drive 2.5 hours to Pennsylvania. On Sundays, we train, we bench, we do all the things. We stay the night. We also work. We actually work under Rob. I'm actually employed with Rob now. So we stay the night, get up the next day, go to the office, go to the gym, shoot content, work on the website, do inventory, things like that. Just try to help as much as we can. Most of the day, early afternoon, then we drive 2.5 hours back home, and then we do it again the next week.
Yeah.
So,
And then
that's what
as far as the 2.0 shirt, let's talk about that, because that thing's pretty cool, and it seems to be a good step in the direction for the evolving shirts.
Yeah, I mean, it's F8 to F8, it's apples to apples. However, it is a brand new design over the OG that's been out for the last, probably a good 5 years or so, since 2020. So it's 2.0. It's designed for those shorter limbed lifters, which I've been scrutinized and told that I have abnormally short arms. So it works perfectly for me. Um, yeah, the way the collar is connected to the sleeve is different. The design is different. It's actually a more simple design, more simple cut, although it'll be even stronger. And that's the shirt that I used to get this 51-pound competition PR bench just a few weeks ago.
Yeah. And as far as the shirt itself, what did you have any involvement in the design of it?
I didn't. I think Rob had it in his mind to make a new design for a while because with the OG design, a stock one off the shelf is going to be down here on me. It's going to be way past my elbow, super illegal. And I would, when I was in Virginia, I would ship these shirts back over and over and over again, requesting as much as it hurt me to ask to have him shorten the sleeves more and more and more. Um, but Rob likes the challenge and he likes to, see a project and get it done by any means necessary. But so I didn't have any direct involvement in how it was designed, but he knew in his head, like, I want to make a shirt that's stronger and that has the shorter limb lifter in mind. So I'm really glad that I got into it. I didn't want to at first. I'm a creature of habit.
Yeah.
So using the OG design for history's first 1,200, 1,300, and 1,400 pound bench, I was very unwilling to change and go to something different. But once I did and I committed to it, took about, I'd say three working sessions before I was comfortable enough to go, yes, I got it now. There is a learning curve after doing one thing for almost 4 years. It's a different design. It has to work a little bit different. Once I committed to it, I'm super glad that I did, and it created great results.
Yeah, and for someone who's maybe switching to it, what are some of the bigger differences that you've noticed in terms of how you use it?
With the OG design, it's capable of allowing different techniques. So you got someone like myself who poly benches, tucking and going low. You got someone like Rob who flares and goes high on the chest. It can accommodate different styles. And Rob has the highest pound for pound bench ever done in competition, benching 1,000 pounds at 198. So no one can critique his form, benching out wide and going high. The man's got the highest coefficient bench ever done. Now, my slogan with the new 2.0 is, in the 2.0, you have to go low. So it's kind of I don't want to call it a one speed type of shirt, but the groove is definitely, you have to go low. You have to belly bench with it, tuck a little bit. I don't over tuck, minimal tuck with the elbows and go low. If you try to bench high on the chest, it won't work.
Yeah, and so kind of obviously with the other shirts and stuff, have you been hopping in and out? Have you been mostly staying in the band shirt? Or have you been kind of hopping in and out of different things?
I I think beginning of this year, I think January, February, I started getting into Rob's new poly line. We have these new poly shirts, poly suits, briefs, all that stuff, new poly line gear. I got into a couple of two ply polys there for about maybe 7 or 8 weeks. I was trying to get back into the poly game, but then I soon realized, like, if I want to bench 1,500, I have to specialize just in that. So I have been training in the OG shirt. I've actually been, since I came up to Ohio, minus the last, I'd say, 2 months leading up to this meet, I was still benching in my original 4-ply that Rob made me about 4 years ago. The same shirt that I used to bench 12, 13, and 14 in competition, I was still using in prep for this meet. And I soon realized, hey, it's 4 years old. It truly has lost its pop after 4 years and countless competitions and weights and workouts and stuff. So I mostly just been working with the new 2.0 exclusively, nothing else, just for these last like 2 months getting ready for this meet.
Yeah, for the meet, what was the setup in terms of like plies? Did you have any inserts in or figure eights or anything like that?
Yeah, so what I did was I have a 2-ply 2.0, and then I made it a 4-ply by putting in a 2-ply Raven.
Okay.
So that is my magical combination. Yep.
And I know obviously there's different variables and stuff, and from what I've seen, most people the hardest jump is from like the 2 ply to the 3 ply. Not many people are in 4 plies and stuff. So for you, was do you think the jump from 2 to 3 and 3 to 4, like which one was harder?
It's might be a bad person to ask because my first band shirt that I ever got from Rob was that 4 ply.
Okay.
That was the first one. I didn't start in a 2. I think Kevin from Anderson originally had sent me a 3, like when they first signed a contract to be the like I was still in the poly thing. I still wanted to do poly. Where this is back in 2021, my big single ply year. So I started out in just a 4 ply. I didn't start in a 2, go to a 3, go to a 4. The hardest thing for me was actually going backwards, going from this big 4 ply to then going like down to a 2, because when I did the WPO bench bash for cash that year, they allowed band shirts, but only up to a 2 ply. So I had to go back down to a 2 and like relearn the groove, and it feels different, it wears different, behaves different.
Yeah, and then as far as the other part, like obviously they have the figure eights and the widow makers, and they're great training tools. So how do you incorporate those in your training?
Well, somebody asked me that. We were just at a show in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I had the exact same question, like, how soon do I put a piece on? I don't bench raw or what I call non-shirted. I don't do that stuff anymore, really. But I'll put figure eight as a great training tool. Different sizes, different strengths. If I'm feeling like garbage, I'll put a figure eight on as early as benching 1 rep per side. Being semi-equipped as light as 155 pounds. So they're great warm-up tools. I could put the figure eight on. I could put a single ply Raven on or an insert, working up in weights. My Raven that I actually put in the 2.0, my 2-ply Raven, I'll use that for working sets. I'll do board work, full range. Widowmakers are awesome. I just did a full range day not too long ago before I went on to this show in Arkansas. But I use gear all the time because I am an equipped lifter, so I incorporate equipment as often as I can because that's what I specialize in, and it allows me to use more weight in my accessory movements.
Yeah, 100%. And for me, I've been using the figure eight for a few weeks now because I mean, I just grabbed one when I got my new briefs, my added ply, my Frankenstein briefs, but I kind of just got it just to get it because I had the gift card and needed to hit that mark. But it's a tool that I've been loving lately, especially I've been having some pec issues, so it's been great to it kind of just eliminates that completely. I haven't had any issues with that on. Obviously, it still kind of hurts when I'm going completely raw, but I think even more to that too, it's going to help me in my poly benching because when I'm doing these volume days now, I'm obviously able to press much heavier weights. Like I was doing doubles at like 450 plus on what's today on Monday, and it's 50 pounds over my raw bench. So like getting that extra tricep work is going to be great for my poly bench this coming September.
100%, 100%.
And the Widowmaker too is also a very fun tool. I like personally I really like using that on floor press. I don't know why I prefer that one, but it's another there's so many good tools to just be able to get that overload. So
Nope, that's how I do it. I mean, why would I do? There's a laundry list of examples I could use, but why would I do raw board work at 600, 700 or more when I could do board work at 1,000, 1,100, 1,200? Because that's going to have more carryover in my mind. There's a place and time for raw, obviously, even as an equipped lifter, in my opinion, for building muscle, getting physically bigger. But yeah, I equip for quite a few things.
yeah, and like obviously you're at the point where you don't really necessarily need to build your raw base. You just need to keep continuing to be able to handle heavy weights, make sure your body's recovering, make sure your bones are recovering, and so it's a whole different kind of
Yep.
mindset for maybe someone that's a beginner, whether it's a beginner in the sport as a whole or a beginner and equipped.
Sure. No, yeah. I mean, when I was a beginner and equipped, I was under the influence of my contemporaries, my peers, Blackstones, and everything. But Yeah, back then, I mean, I built both. I was a big believer that you had to have both big raw, big equipped to be better at equipped, but that only lasted for the first, maybe not even the first year of being in equipment. I was like, I just need to keep, the more I was in the equipment, the better I got, the bigger the weights became. So I just stuck with that.
Yeah, and kind of in terms of like the history of powerlifting, it's kind of like an interesting topic and debate of like you look at West Side, who was almost never in their gear until like meet day, and they'd mostly just be in like their briefs, and then there's Big Iron, who is in their gear more often than not. So it's kind of cool to see how what works for others and what doesn't.
Absolutely. Yep.
So kind of going back a little bit onto the recovery aspect of thing, obviously handling that weight has a lot of toll on your body. And I remember we were talking about this a little bit about the pro-am, that kind of after some of your heavy benches and AMRAPs, now you've kind of been better off, like you haven't been as sick or as shaky. And so maybe tell us about what kind of changed with that.
Well, that's wish I could give a big secret. I wish I could like explain more. It'd be really cool to have like a friend of mine like Mike Fobby, who's a really old friend and a training partner of mine, sit here right here and explain that to you. Um, I think when I was in poly, because poly is so much more, I'll use the term traumatic on your body than like the band shirts are. The band shirts are very forgiving. Poly just destroys you. So when I would do AMRAP sets or high or volume sets in poly, I'd be on the floor after a big set for like 15, puking in the trash can. All my friends in Virginia can attest to that. But now, albeit yes, the band shirts might be more forgiving, but the weights are so much heavier. So it's kind of like a balance between the two. But I just think everything is adaptation over time. That's what I always like to say. Anything is possible with time put in. I could tell somebody you could be the greatest in history at something. We'll just stay in the sport. You could be the greatest deadlifter. You could be the heaviest bencher. You could do it drug free, but are you willing to wait 20 years? With time. Um, but the recovery aspect, I mean, a lot of it had to do with this little gizmo behind me here. I finally got my first prescribed CPAP not too long ago through the VA. And so once I started actually getting good, noticeable quality sleep, that changed a lot for me. Sleep is the key. That it is the answer to the test. I really do believe that. On top of, obviously you have to have good nutrition. I live on a very, very high sodium diet, lots of water, creatine, all the right supplements and things. But overall, if my buddy was standing here next to me, he would just say, and this is not a toot my own horn thing. This is just him explaining what it would say. Something like his CNS is some sort of anomaly. I don't, I just don't, I don't know. I train heavy year round. I don't take light weeks unless something is very obviously wrong and I can't go heavy, but I can recover week to week to week, going heavy, 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 heavy. I don't need breaks. I recover fast. It's just this is how I am, and it works for me, and I can't explain it, but that's how I am.
Yeah, and with your forearm, and I know you're having like a hand issue. That's something going on with that. What was the fix for that, or maybe who helped you fix that?
That's a long. I'll keep it as short as possible. I was having severe forearm pain in my left arm. It was actually both arms, or it'd be like just my right or just my left, and it would go away after a few weeks. But my left forearm, right on the inside here, on this tattoo right here, had been in pain for about 3 years. I mean, you couldn't brush my arm with a feather without putting me on the floor. It hurt so bad. I couldn't fix it. In Virginia, I was working with Dr. Jericho Matthews. He owns a company called Alive by Design. Recovery methods. I've done dry needling, acupuncture, cryotherapy, scraping, massage, deep tissue, deep tissue, anything you can think of, electrotherapy, whatever. We could not fix it. The day I benched 1,400 2 years ago for the first time, I thought my arm was going to break. because it hurts so bad. Now I know that's just soft tissue, but in that moment, I was having a conversation in my head saying that your arm was going to break, and it didn't. But so I thought, this is something I'm going to have to live with. The weights are too extreme. It's just like part of life now. But a gentleman reached out to me on Instagram. I forget his name at this very moment, but he said, "Hey," he sent me a video explaining something, and he said, "Hey, your pain sounds very familiar. There's a muscle, that the exact muscle that you're talking about actually runs across your forearm, and it connects up into your thumb pad right here, like into your hand." I'm like, "Oh." And then when we're benching out wide, really heavy, that pad is being forced down like this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kind of brushed it off for a few months, but I came back to it. I was like, huh. Because Dr. Jericho would tell me the site of the pain is not often the source. It's something above or below it. I'm like, okay, because it's getting tight, it's pulling. And so I don't know what compelled me to do this. I thought I'll just try something completely out of like, why the fuck not? Because I have 3 years of constant pain. I took one of my cups out of my cupping set. I got my palm wet because it's hard to get a seal right here. And I cupped my palm for about 2 minutes. And that pain went away.
Oh, wow.
It got that muscle to pull in a different direction, and it released. And 3 years of pain was fixed in 2 minutes.
Yeah, and I bet that was kind of a bittersweet moment of like, this was all it took to fucking fix my entire 3 years of pain. But you also probably had
After
the greatest
3,
relief.
it did. It has not come back. That's all it took. So as general maintenance before my next big bench session, just to keep it at bay, I never want to feel that pain again. I actually will cup both palms a week out before my next bench session, just to make sure that muscle is not getting pissed and rear its ugly head and come back.
Yeah, and this is kind of a good little segue about talking about obviously dealing with that pain as a mental fortitude and a mindset thing. And I know that's something you're pretty passionate about in terms of powerlifting, obviously with kind of handling these unforeseen weights. So maybe tell us a little bit overall about kind of your mindset into going into these new territories.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's insane. A lot of what we do, including like shit, I don't know. When I did my, it's kind of morphed. So when I did my 1120 back in 2021, I'll say it was single ply, but it was the biggest bench ever done at that point. I had beaten Brody's record, I think, at 1110. So I beat him by 10 pounds. One of my most, in my opinion, one of my greatest moments ever in the history of me competing. But at that point, okay, that's the heaviest bench ever done. I had to have that mental, like, I had to not think about it. It's like, okay, it's a big number, but you've trained for it. Relax, do what you do, go through the steps, sit on the bench, lay back, breathe a few times, just all that autopilot stuff. But 1,120 pounds as a weight in the sport. I mean, the first 1,100-pound squat was Steve Goggins back in like 2002, 2003. So as a weight lifted, that weight's been done since 20 plus years ago. Yes, not in the bench, but it's been done.
Yeah.
A few months later, when I got into the band shirts, my first meet I ever did in a band shirt was at York in February of 22, and I hit history's first 12 and 1,300-pound bench, respectively, in the same meet. Now, it was 1225 on my opener, first 1,200-pound bench ever. But again, 1,200 pounds has been done in the squat for years prior. My second attempt was 1320. Now that was a position where it's not only the biggest bench, but I'm also surpassing the biggest weight lifted in the sport ever.
Yeah.
I am surpassing this current squat record by like 9 or 10 pounds. That was different. This weight hasn't been done in any way, shape, or form, period. But again, it falls back on, don't get emotional. And I mean emotional in the sense of like fear.
Yeah.
Because these weights, I get scared. I'm still human. I feel intimidated. And you have to, like I just said, I'm human, so I am going to feel that. But when it comes time to perform, you really got to turn that shit off and just go, okay, okay, walk up to the bench the exact same way. Nothing else matters. Just sit down, breathe, whatever, lay back, grab the bar, just do all that autopilot stuff and really turn the emotions off. It's so hard to do. Um, so ever since that 1320, every weight I've hit since then, in the gym and on the platform, again, has never been done. So I have to deal with that like almost every time I go to the gym, whether it be 1,000 for reps or whether it be 1,450 off of one board or a half board or 1,500. So it's just taken a long time to be able to compartmentalize everything and just stay calm and not get not let that fear sink in and overtake me.
Yeah, and I guess from my perspective, my mindset going into like a weight is like if it's a 5 pound PR, like my mindset is like, okay, approach it the same way because you've never handled this weight before. Don't worry about the actual number of the weight, just worry about you're going for a number that you haven't hit before. It's going to be the heaviest you've ever done. You need to execute properly, you need to focus properly, no different than whether it's a 900 pound squat or an 1100 pound squat. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's a much different animal. But if you go into that same mindset, I think you'll perform it better.
Yep. There's my buddy Uncle Nick, Nick Saranis. We just call him Uncle Nick because last name is hard to pronounce. And and he had texted me the night before, the day before the meet, this last one, and he said, "Hey, no need to tell you good luck. Luck's got nothing to do with it. You know what to do. Just perform and execute, and that's it." I was like, "Yeah, you're right." You know that. And I called him after I did the meet and got the new number, and I said, "Thank you." Like you weren't the only one that was texting me, but yes, that made total sense. You don't need luck. Luck's got nothing to do with it. Like you can be as mentally prepared as you possibly can, but when it comes down to it, you have to physically perform. You can't just go, "Yep, it's gonna be a great meet," and think like you in the moment. You still have to be an athlete. You still have to be a professional and do everything correct from the moment you set your gym bag down in the warm up room to the moment you got to complete a lift on the platform. It has to be done perfectly, no matter what.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that has helped me, or even going into just this meat prep, is um, obviously controlling variables. And multiply, there's probably about 100 times more variables. But when you kind of go into the gym with that same mindset of training like a competition, like last prep, obviously I had a great meet, but last prep I think I missed a squat almost every single week. I think this prep going into it, obviously I'm taking smarter jumps, I'm leaving a jump in the tank to let my body recover, but I'm also focusing on the execution of things and not letting like I have a by the time this comes out, it'll already be posted. But I have a max deadlift today. I'm not gonna take a swing at the number I want today unless I know for a fact I'm gonna hit it at the meet. Because if I miss it, then I'm just gonna be in my head.
I understand. Yeah, and I I there's a balance too when it comes to I think I missed, yeah, in I'll say in about the 3 month time period leading up to this last meet, I can recall vividly I missed a weight. I actually missed a weight once in those 3 months, and it wasn't even a perform. It wasn't a execution issue. It was a pad issue. You know, under these extreme loads where weird things start to fail that you wouldn't normally think about, like the actual vinyl covering of the pad, stretching. You know, because I used the Marucci baseball bat to stick myself to the pad,
Yeah,
and all that weight, it was actually stretching the covering of the pad. We had to like fix that, but um, so I don't want to say missing is okay. It's okay to miss, especially when you're pushing the limits of yourself. But you don't want to get in the habit of missing too much. You don't want to prep your body to miss. You want to prep your body to get completed lifts. But I still miss lifts from time to time. It's just the life of the liver.
100%. And the mental aspect of missing a lift, even if it's like your last warm up or something like that, like, and you could be, oh, that's fine, it doesn't matter, I'll hit it. But like, there's no way at to anyone it doesn't affect you even just slightly, and that just slight throw off could affect you on meet day.
Yeah, and I've gotten really good. This is one thing I would tell the audience is if you miss, definitely try to learn how to do this, but like also like learn how to figure out why. If you can identify the problem, which is why I bombed out of several meets in the past couple of years. The first time I attempted at 1,400 pounds was actually, I think, like 8 months prior to the month where I actually hit it. And but I was able to identify. I wasn't mad. I wasn't upset. I wasn't pissed. I identified what the problem was, so I knew what to. If you don't know what the problem is, that can really fuck with your head. But as long as you can identify it and learn, then that's fine. Missing is okay.
Yeah, and as far as maybe going for max effort things during prep, I actually just was talking with I forget who I was talking with, someone recently, but say I want to pull 800, go for 805, and if you miss it, well, you're like, oh well, it's more, or you go for 795, or you don't go for those double zeros to kind of get in your head, and it's just small little things like that that you learn from people that can keep that mental game strong, which will make you perform better on the platform.
Sure. I mean, I I remember talking the double zeros. I remember being shit. I had to have been 15 at the time. I was still benching in my living room at my mom's house, and I could rep. I could put 295 on the bar and triple it, but I could not put chips on the end and bench 300 pounds. I missed it every time. That double zero number, especially that 300, that elusive 300-pound bench, as a team. Yeah, I could do 290, 295 for triples, and I could not do 300 pounds for one because I did not have the mental headspace to handle that number. But yeah, 295 pounds under all day. I could do that all day.
Yeah, it's kind of wild just how much the mental game and can affect performance. Like it's amazing what the mind can do and what it can limit at the same time.
Yeah. Yep. I remember seeing a poster. I was at the Wabdo Worlds in 2012 out in Vegas. My first and last time being out there to do the Worlds, and there was a poster in the back, and it said, it still speaks to me to this day. It said, "If you knew you could not fail, what number would you attempt?" I was like, that just blew, I was like, a teenager. I was early 20s, and it blew my mind. I'm like, yeah, but I tried to like, so yeah, I still remember that poster to this day. If you knew for a fact you could not fail, what would you attempt?
Yeah, and that's actually that's kind of a mind fuck to think about because like obviously the answer would be like, oh, 10,000 pounds, but like would you actually get under that
Yeah.
weight still? Like you might not fail it, but you could
See,
fucking blow out an arm. Like
there you go. Exactly. Yep.
as far as kind of looking ahead, whether it's with working with F8 or maybe your training or upcoming meets, what's kind of the goal for the rest of 2025 for you?
Well, yeah. So we've been working, actually employed under F8 powerlifting for about 4 months now. And one of the biggest things we do, besides be there as often as we can, we're actually going to be moving a lot closer here in the near future, so we can cut our commute like in less than half the time. That'll will allow us to be there more and work more. But one of the big things that we're doing that we just got back home from last night is doing shows, going to venues, going to expos, setting up a table, actually multiple tables, a big booth, representing F8 powerlifting. The same thing I did for Anderson powerlifting all these years. I've now transitioned over to doing it with F8 powerlifting. So we were at the women's pro-am back in March. Then we went to the Nashville Expo. It's a strength expo in Nashville about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And we just got back from the Arkansas Strength Expo in Little Rock. So we're going to be doing a lot more shows, trying to show up to meets, just have more of a presence as a company at these shows, get the brand name out there a little bit more, traveling, things like that. So training wise, I'm still kind of in not so serious mode right now, especially with this travel. It's hard to
Yeah.
get the training in, but I'd say in the next month, I will definitely turn the dial back into the on position, start ramping training back up, getting prepped for this meet. I got a meet picked out for November, get back under heavy loads, start training heavy, get my CNS kind of woken back up, and hopefully go for 1,500 pounds. And the goal of 2025 is to bench 1,500. That is the end all be all goal. Uh, so hopefully that happens. And then after that, we got Arnold Classic in 2026, and we'll move on from there.
Yeah, I gotta ask though, how nice is that FA car you got? The things look sweet.
Now it's at two vehicles. Now we have the Explorer. Yeah, that's it's quite a privilege. It's quite a privilege. We have we just took the transit van, a cargo van, down to this Arkansas Expo on its maiden voyage. We got this van. It's wrapped just like
Oh
the
hell yeah.
F8 Mobile, the Explorer. So we drove that down, 28-hour round trip, and it performed pretty damn good. So that's going to be a nice workhorse, and it's a cargo van, so it's got all the room for all the equipment and the pipe and drape setup we have, and all the tables and all the shelving. So yeah, that's again, that is a absolute privilege and honor to be able to do that.
Yeah, I keep telling Joe we got to get one of the Sprinter vans for Evolve so we can all travel down to meets together. I think I don't know why gyms haven't done that, but I mean, obviously it's an expense cost, but I think it would be so cool to have like your crew in like a 6 or 8 person Sprinter van, sending them down to wherever you
Yeah,
go.
that would be cool. Get it wrapped or put some decals on it or something, and just have it. Yeah, it could be a write off of some sort. Get it for the gym, and yeah, that'd be dope. Pull
Yeah,
up in a gym company van for
yeah.
sure.
But as far as the trade shows and traveling stuff, what have been some of, not necessarily like favorite moments, but what's been like your favorite thing about doing these?
Well, I really, as introverted as I am by nature, but I really like getting out there and meeting people and talking with people, and people approach me, which I still think is wild. I don't consider myself an approachable person, but the fact that people want to come up to me and ask questions or just say I just want to shake your hand or want to meet you, that's so humbling to me. I just remember being a kid at 14, 15 years old, and have my idols to this day, like Scott Mendelson and Ryan Kennelly and Tiny Meeker and Gene Richlack, rest in peace. But so that's cool, getting to meet people, and it's in an element that I'm very familiar with.
Yeah,
I'm there at a powerlifting thing. Well, I don't call myself a powerlifter because I do one lift. I think the powerlifting is the sport of squat, bench, deadlift. I don't do that, but I'm a bench specialist. I'm a bench presser, but I'm going down a rabbit hole. Meeting people, talking the sport, getting the name out there with F8 powerlifting, of course. We got to hang out at the last two shows with right next to Anderson Powerlifting, so I got to hang out with Kevin. If we don't have something, we say, hey, Anderson Powerlifting has that, or he says, hey, I don't have that, they have it. Goes back and forth. We work together, we're under the same umbrella, and just kind of learning ways to set up the booth different, adding things. We'll actually walk around the expos and go, oh, that booth has that. That looks kind of cool. Or, oh, they set up like that. That looks kind of cool. We should try something like that. Kind of grasping and getting other ideas on how to make the setup look a little bit cooler and more efficient. How they use their shelves. They use this kind of display over here. And then the big show obviously is the Arnold coming up, and well, it's not in a while. It's a while from now, but as soon as a year's Arnold is over, like that we leave the venue, I'm already looking forward to the next one. I love going there. It's so fun.
yeah, and that's something that I haven't been to yet either. And I think I want to cross it off the list. And I think actually maybe next year I might be able to, just with the women's pro am being a little bit further this year. It kind of just depends on when I decide to have my meet, because I mean this February, March is a very crazy time for powerlifting. I mean, obviously you have Holy Wars, you have the Pro Am, I got to plan my meet. There's just so much going on, but I definitely would love to make it out there someday.
It's worth it, man. It's if you have issues with crowds and people, be fully prepared that you might not be in a super happy mood, but it's different because this is the first year, this past Arnold 2025, this was the first year I was just there as a competitor, not as a vendor at all. Anderson is not returning to the Arnold. F8 Powerful didn't have time to set up at the Arnold. We didn't have enough time to prep for it, so I was just there to compete. So walking around as a spectator was quite different because every Arnold I've been to in the past, I was actually in a booth working as a vendor. So it was a different experience and not having to be able to take a break. Because when I'm in the booth space, I've got a 10x10 or a 10x20 open spot where I can like be alone or like sit down in a chair and just relax. Because if you're in that crowd, you're in that crowd the whole time until you find a space where you can kind of sit and be away. But it was different, but it's cool, man. It's an awesome experience.
Yeah, and I definitely, like I said, want to make it out there, but kind of a little off topic backtracking, but I wanted to touch on this to talk about your 2014 Arnold Classic while we're on the topic of the Arnold. I know that's one of your favorite stories, your competition story, so give us the rundown on that.
So that was 2014. I was 23. I had not turned 24 yet. So I was 23 going into this meet. It was my first time ever competing at the Arnold. I take that back. I competed the year prior. But I did full power, actually. It was my second total I ever got was actually the year prior. Okay. So I'm at the Arnold, and we're on the main stage. Because these days we compete on the Rogue stage, which is off to the side. It actually is where the strongman compete now. You have the strongman area, and then the Rogue stage, and then the main stage is in the middle of the venue where the bodybuilders pose and all that stuff. So we're up on that stage. And I'm in the heavyweight division, but I'm the lightest heavyweight at 235 body weight. There was lightweight men, heavyweight men. I'm at the bottom of the barrel, 235 body weight, and I'm the youngest one up there. Talk about a stacked roster. There was Matt Hauser, 900-pound bencher, and I had just benched 903 2 years prior and had not benched 900 pounds since. So Matt Hauser, 900-pound bencher, Mike Womack, Alan Baria, 800, 900-pound single-ply bencher. Tiny Meeker, current all-time heaviest bench ever, I think, at the time, or second place or something. But cripes, I can't remember. There was a stacked roster. That's what I'm trying to get. Like 9 or 10 guys. And also at that time, Jake Prazak. And these are the days before band shirts. This is all poly, by the way. This is all poly numbers. But Jake Prazak was someone who I had looked up to for years, 242 to 242. He was the current all-time world record holder at 242 and 220. And at 242, he had benched 920 pounds. Again, this is poly.
Yeah.
Insane numbers, okay? Insane. So he was there. I'm like, I am just in awe of all these guys. All these guys I only see on the internet or on, baby, Instagram or Facebook back then. And we get up there, we get introduced by Dan Daig, who's, wild and crazy. And he's like, he's screaming on the stage. We're all standing up there. And I look out and it's just people. I had never been on that stage in my life. People and lights. And I was just so humbled to be up there. The rules of the meet were everybody had to open at 800. That was just how the meet was ran. So all the heavyweights had to open at 8. Nobody bombed. Everybody got a lift, which is really cool. After that, you can do whatever you want. You can jump to as high as you want, whatever. So everybody did 8 on the first attempts. Come around to the second attempts. Now, again, Jake Prazak is the current all-time world record holder. His wife and mother were out in the audience next to Katie, my wife. And they said, hey, this is his last meet. He wants to retire after today. He wants to break his all-time world record, and he's done. He's not going to compete again. She's like, oh, wow, holy shit. And we're in the same weight class, mind you, 242. So second attempts, people are going to high 800s. I think Matt Hauser hit like a 910, like 900 plus. Prazak was going for 925 to break his record by 5 pounds. I'm there for a PR. I want a PR is what I'm concerned with. Me. I thought 950 is a really cool number. It just sounds cool. 950. So Prazak goes for 925, misses it. I go for 950. I miss it. A side note is Tiny Meeker on his second attempt was going for 1,050, and he received powerlifting's heaviest misload in the entire history of the sport. He called for 1,050. They loaded an extra 100 per side and gave him 1,250.
Jesus Christ.
They misloaded him by 200 pounds. He took it out. threw it in the rack. You could see him like readjust. Took it out a second time, brought it like halfway down, abandoned the lift. It misloaded him by 200 pounds. How the fuck that happened, I'll never know, but it happened. So he missed the lift. Come back to the third attempts. People are, getting a lift or missing a lift. You get to Jake Prazak. We're down to the last 3 guys. Prazak, me, then Meeker. Prazak actually got 925. So he just broke his all-time world record by 5 pounds. Boom. I'm next. I got my 950. I just re-broke his record he just set not one attempt earlier.
Yeah.
And he's like going to Dan Dag, I guess. He wanted to take a 4th attempt and try to break my record and take it back. He's done.
Yeah.
This is his last meet of his career. He has done it. Regardless of what happens, he's done. So he broke his record. Then I broke his record by 25 more pounds. And then Meeker tried to come back after that 200-pound misload and try 1,050. It was loaded correctly this time. He ended up bombing out, or he missed his 1,050. So I won. After Meeker bombed, after I broke Jake Prazak's record, not set one attempt before me. It was it was the first time I got paid for a meet too at this point.
Yeah.
There was a cash prize. So I was like, got the record, won the Arnold, and got paid for it. That was one of the best moments of my life. That was awesome.
Yeah, and I think I'm going off a whim here, but just knowing Powerlifter in general, I'm sure he congratulated you on your record.
He did. Oh, he was such a nice, humble guy. Katie was out in the audience. His mom was just cheering and so happy. His wife was kind of like, kind of upset, but he was super cool. I was like, hey, I didn't want to talk to you. I don't know how, because everybody's a little bit different. I was like, I didn't want to like approach you like during the meeting. He goes, dude, you're fine, and congrats. I'm really super proud of you. So I got congratulated by one of my idols. So that was the first time ever that I had beaten one of the guys I looked up to in my life. So that was a very, very fine moment.
Yeah, one of my favorite kind of, not tropes, but just like powerlifting stories, not necessarily like in the gym or whatever, but specifically competitions, is when you hear stories of like people having world records for like 10 minutes. I think it's just one of the coolest and funniest things. You're like, yeah, especially if maybe for someone like that's all they got. They're done after that, like you said with him. It's cool to see like, oh yeah, I was an all-time world record holder for 7 minutes.
Yes, that was so special and just albeit in a way kind of just funny how that happened. I was just, because again, like I don't even think I realized I had done it until the meet was completely over with. I was just so happy because I got a 47-pound competition PR. It was multiply. My 903 was single ply from 2 years prior, but even such, on the platform, 47-pound PR. I hadn't even won at that point because we still had to see Tiny Meeker go after me. So I'm celebrating. I'm kissing my fucking spotters and whatever. I hadn't won, but I was so damn happy and proud of myself for accomplishing the goal, which was to get a huge PR, and I got it. And winning, which is kind of a bonus because Meeker obviously missed his last attempt. I won kind of by default. But still, I was so happy.
Yeah, and that's an awesome story. And I just kind of came up with a question in my head, and it's something that I think I know how you're going to answer it, and it might be a hard question to answer. But obviously, with being so dominant in the bench press, you have the ability, if you wanted to find all these local meets that maybe have $500 for biggest bench and just take a super light bench and win that. I guess maybe for you, why isn't that something you do?
Huh. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess I never really thought about that, honestly. I mean, money is great. It's such a rare opportunity to get paid to do a lift, to do a competition. I suppose I've just never really had that thought. I don't know.
I hope I didn't just plant a seed for every bench presser out there.
Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, if somebody wants to if you have the capability to do that, I'd say go ahead and go for it because, like I said, it's so rare to have those situations where you can win prize money. Now, again, you have to like check all the boxes. You have to win the money. You have to have the biggest bench, the biggest coefficient, or the blah blah blah, and you have to show up with your crew and all this stuff. But also, I don't know. I don't want to take opportunities away from other people, I
That's
suppose. Now, if
what I expected you to answer it as.
yeah, I just, it's you- I c- I don't. It just doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
It does. If if I happen to go like this last meet I did over in at Nittany Barbell in Penn State where I hit my 1450, there was cash prizes. I had no clue. That wasn't posted anywhere to my knowledge. And Charlie Rochelle walks over with an envelope and says, "Don't lose that." And I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, yeah, there's a little bit of money in there, but shit, that's cool. But I'm not gonna like actively going out and pursue these meets where people are, if the if it takes a 500-pound bench to win it or something. This I don't know. It just doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, I think it was just a kind of a funny little question to ask because like I said, I think I kind of expected that an answer similar to that, and honestly, the fact that you haven't thought about that is shows kind of the humbleness and the I guess the focus on your own goals rather than like you said, just going to take some money that maybe thought some kid was gonna hit that maybe it was his first meet or he was going for a big bench or something like that. So
Yeah. No, no. I'm in a good position now. If I was like, if we were on the streets, or if we couldn't pay our mortgage, okay, then maybe I'll go and seek out some financial gain. But overall, no. I think opportunity in the sport is equal among all competitors. So me going out and seeking a competition purely for financial gain, not my own personal thing, like a PR or it's just nah. I've had a lot of good opportunities. The sport's been good and kind to me, so I'm going to turn around and be as kind as I can to the sport and the people in it.
yeah, speaking of kind, obviously let's just mention it. Let's talk about I mean, we've talked about it before, you've obviously posted about it, but the Kolb Strong Scholarship, just maybe remind everyone what that is and kind of the goal of it.
Well, to begin with, it was my wife's idea, not mine. Now we both advocate for it, but I want to always put it out there. It was her idea. So what it is we look back on our years in the sport, our years as young in the sport, in our teens, early 20s, shit, even into like mid 20s, how hard we struggled. Because as we mentioned, like there are money opportunities out there kind of sometimes once in a
It's
while,
growing
but
for sure.
overall it's growing. It's becoming a little more here and there, which is cool. But overall, we all dedicate ourselves to a sport where it pays almost nothing. You pay to enter the meet, you pay to buy your gear, or if you're sponsored, that helps too. But you put a lot of money into it, and you don't get a lot back besides gratification, getting PRs, winning. It feels great, but we struggled and we struggled and we struggled. I could at one point I couldn't even afford my $25 gym due
Oh well.
when I was at Iron Chamber Gym in Canton, Ohio. I couldn't even afford to pay $25 a month. I was so damn poor, but I love the sport so much. So what we did, now that we're in a better position as adults, was we created the Kolb Strong Scholarship. So we raise money every year through donation, but also hosting events when we can. We're very, very busy right now, so we can't do a lot. But we accept donations, collect money from January all the way to the end of December that year. And for every $1,000 we raise, we sponsor one young person. So anybody from the age of 13 to 23, that's the teenage and the junior division for powerlifting. And they can apply. They go to kolbstrongscholarship.com. They follow the link. They do all the things that's required, and they submit their application to us. So we raised, I think the biggest year we had was 2 years ago. We raised $10,000.
Wow.
So we got to pick 10 of these kids, and the hardest part for me is getting like 80 applications and having to whittle it down to 10. That's hard. I wish I could just all their stories are so meaningful, so much detail. It crushes me that I have to pick 10, but that's just the way it goes. And we pick our 10. It's not just us. We have a small board of people, myself, Katie, usually 2 or 3 others. We all collectively decide who needs it the most, and then I think we usually start cutting checks. We accept applications in the month of January. We spend all of February going through them. And then right after the Arnold weekend, we announce the winners and we cut $1,000 checks. to these young kids, and they can use it for whatever they want. It's designed to help you with your powerlifting prowess, paying for your gym dues, paying for your travel, paying for new gear, new bench shirts, squat suits, whatever it is, or you can go blow it on a new game station or a computer. It's your money. You do whatever you want with it. So that's what we do. We've been doing it for about 4 or 5 years. It's a certified nonprofit organization, and we're really proud of it.
Yeah, I think it's great for the sport, and I think this year it is a little more closer to me just because one of my really good friends and training partners, Jonah, got it this year, and it's something that like it proves to me how well the selection process was because I don't think there's anyone that deserves it more than him. So I'm excited to see how it grows in the future as well as your career, and obviously that 1,500-pound bench is crossed off this year. So, but I think we can wrap things up here. So I will ask you my final question: if you could give a new lifter or someone going into their first meet a word of advice, what would you tell them?
Several things. I'll try to. Well, yeah, it's got several points, but like a very very least important of the points I have is stay away from like people want to pound after they weigh in, they want to pound the Gatorade and the Pedialyte and shit. Stay away from that crap. It's got way too much sugar in it. It's going to overactivate your kidneys. You're going to piss out everything you're trying to retain. You need water and you need sodium, like salt. Salt is so damn good for you.
Element right here.
Hey, element right there.
Stay
okay?
salty.
Stay salty. More salt, not less. So do your own independent research, but in our opinion, more salt is better. So stay away from Gatorade and Pedialyte. But also, enjoy what you do. Have fun. You're there to do good. You're there to perform. I see it also like how you are in the, let's just say you have one meet per year and you're in the gym for that entire year training for this meet, and you know what makes you successful. You know what attitude you need to have when it comes to training and lifting weights. You know how you act, right? So how I act in the gym is exactly how I am at the competition. Funny and stupid and laughing and having a good time. That's exactly how I am in the gym. That's how I am in a competition. It's identical. Don't get too emotional. Now, if you're overly emotional in the gym and you're successful, okay, do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But don't be laughy and funny and having a good time in the gym and being successful, and then go to the meet and just and everything changes and it's all serious. And it's like
mean mugging,
going to war.
yeah,
mean mugging and wearing your fire beanies and going to war. Dude, you're not going to war.
I gotta bust out my fire beanie.
Yeah. You're training with weights. You're there to have fun and perform, yes, but whatever makes you successful in the gym, copy that. Do that at the competition. Don't your emotions get ahead of you. Have a good mental mindset, and just again, what Nick Saranis told me is, you don't need luck. All you need is to perform. Know what you need to do to be successful. Perform and execute, and then be successful.
100%. Practice how you play. Well, I want to thank you again for taking the time to come on again. It was my pleasure.
My pleasure being here. I really appreciate your time.